Final reflection. This case serves as a powerful reminder that justice requires constant vigilance. It is not self-executing. It demands the courage to challenge corruption, the diligence to uphold legal standards, and the collective will to ensure accountability. If one corrupt judge could be exposed, how many others remain unchecked? What will we as a society do to ensure that justice prevails? The responsibility does not rest solely on prosecutors like Pam Bondi. It is a shared burden, one that belongs to every citizen, every legal professional, and every public official who values the rule of law. As we reflect on this case, we must ask ourselves, how can we build a system where corruption has no place? What policies should we advocate for to strengthen judicial integrity? And ultimately, are we doing enough to ensure that no one is above the law? The arrest of Judge Gates marks a crucial moment in the ongoing battle for judicial transparency and integrity. However, it also raises pressing concerns. How many other cases of judicial misconduct go unnoticed? How can the public ensure that those entrusted with the law do not exploit their positions for personal gain? Studies show that only 0.3% of judicial complaints lead to formal investigations, meaning the vast majority of corruption cases may never see the light of day. With these figures in mind, it is clear that reform is necessary. Should stricter financial disclosure policies be implemented for judges? Should there be independent oversight bodies with greater authority to investigate judicial misconduct? This case serves as a powerful reminder that justice requires constant vigilance. It is not self-executing. It demands the courage to challenge corruption, the diligence to uphold legal standards, and the collective will to ensure accountability. If one corrupt judge could be exposed, how many others remain unchecked? What will we as a society do to ensure that justice prevails? The responsibility does not rest solely on prosecutors like Pam Bondi. It is a shared burden, one that belongs to every citizen, every legal professional, and every public official who values the rule of law. Conclusion: the broader message of justice. The arrest of Judge Gates marks a crucial moment in the ongoing battle for judicial transparency and integrity. However, it also raises pressing concerns. How many other cases of judicial misconduct go unnoticed? How can the public ensure that those entrusted with the law do not exploit their positions for personal gain? Studies show that only 0.3% of judicial complaints lead to formal investigations, meaning the vast majority of corruption cases may never see the light of day. With these figures in mind, it is clear that reform is necessary. Should stricter financial disclosure policies be implemented for judges? Should there be independent oversight bodies with greater authority to investigate judicial misconduct? Judicial oversight and systemic reform. Judicial oversight remains one of the most critical aspects of maintaining fairness within the legal system. Reports from the Brennan Center for Justice indicate that approximately 2% of federal judges have been formally sanctioned for ethical violations in the past 2 decades, yet most infractions go unpunished due to procedural loopholes. This raises critical concerns about the effectiveness of the current system of self-regulation. One proposed solution is the establishment of independent judicial review commissions with broader investigative powers. In Canada and the United Kingdom, independent commissions oversee judicial conduct, ensuring that misconduct cases are handled objectively. Would implementing a similar system in the U.S. reduce judicial corruption? Another issue is campaign financing and judicial elections. According to data from the National Institute on Money and Politics, over $400 million has been spent on state Supreme Court elections in the last 2 decades. The question arises, how does financial backing influence judicial impartiality? Should the U.S. move toward a model of appointed judges rather than elected ones? The role of the public in ensuring justice, public awareness, and civic engagement play a vital role in holding judicial figures accountable. Research by the Pew Research Center suggests that public trust in the judicial system has declined by 15% in the past decade, with many citizens perceiving courts as influenced by politics rather than legal merit. Civic engagement can include jury participation, ensuring that trials are conducted fairly by individuals who represent the diversity of the community. Whistleblower protections, strengthening legal safeguards for court officials or attorneys who report unethical judicial behavior. Media scrutiny, encouraging investigative journalism to bring judicial corruption to light. Lessons from historical cases, looking at past corruption scandals, such as Operation Greylord in the 1980s, where over 90 judges, attorneys, and court personnel were indicted for bribery and case-fixing in Illinois, we see that judicial misconduct is not a new phenomenon. The challenge lies in preventing history from repeating itself. Legal scholars have proposed enhanced data-driven monitoring of judicial decisions, utilizing artificial intelligence to detect statistical anomalies in case rulings. Could AI-driven oversight be a way to mitigate judicial bias and corruption? Final reflection. Fourth, immediate arrest of Judge Gates in open court. Bondi signals law enforcement officers present in the courtroom immediately after the incriminating audio recording concludes. Within 120 seconds, 2 officers approach the bench as Gates remains motionless, visibly attempting to process the severity of the situation. The arrest follows federal law enforcement protocol, with Gates being instructed to stand and place his hands behind his back. The officers then apply standard-issue handcuffs, ensuring they are locked within proper double-lock safety parameters, preventing accidental over-tightening. Gates is formally read his Miranda rights, in accordance with Miranda v. Arizona, 1966, ensuring his legal protections are upheld while affirming the legitimacy of the arrest. The courtroom, including jurors, journalists, and legal observers, remains frozen in stunned silence as the reality of the situation unfolds. The statistical probability of a sitting judge being arrested mid-trial is extraordinarily rare. Fewer than 0.05% of judicial misconduct cases escalate to an immediate detainment in a live courtroom. 5. Implications and broader investigation. The removal of Judge Gates from the bench sparks an immediate inquiry into systemic corruption. According to DOJ statistics, investigations into judicial misconduct result in expanded federal probes in 63% of cases involving financial crimes. The prosecution team shifts its focus to uncovering additional judicial and political figures who may have been complicit in similar fraudulent activities. The defendant, now facing overwhelming evidence, begins negotiating a plea agreement to reduce potential federal sentencing guidelines penalties, which could range from 10 to 25 years, depending on the extent of cooperation. Bondi's strategy has not only taken down a corrupt judge, but has also set the stage for uncovering a larger network of misconduct. This case sets a legal precedent in the fight against judicial corruption and serves as a warning to those who believe they are beyond accountability. The message is clear. No one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. Key points of the case. Pam Bondi versus Judge Howard Gates 1. Judicial misconduct and bias in the courtroom. Pam Bondi, an experienced prosecutor, enters the courtroom prepared to present a case involving government ethics violations and financial misconduct amounting to millions of U.S. taxpayer dollars. From the outset, Judge Howard Gates exhibits clear judicial bias, dismissing Bondi's arguments and questioning the legitimacy of the charges. His interruptions occur at an average interval of fewer than 2 minutes, significantly disrupting Bondi's ability to present her evidence cohesively. Additionally, Gates uses belittling language, undermining Bondi's credibility and professionalism. His actions not only violate judicial ethics, but also compromise the integrity of the legal proceedings. The courtroom, which includes members of the press, legal professionals, and a jury, witnesses his behavior firsthand. The judge's conduct raises concerns about potential conflicts of interest, as he repeatedly attempts to steer the case away from a thorough review of financial records. Gates's behavior signals an abuse of power, prompting Bondi to remain firm and methodical in her approach, ensuring the rule of law is upheld despite the judge's overt hostility. 2. Presentation of evidence and resistance from the bench. Pam Bondi methodically presents financial documents detailing the misallocation of public funds. The records indicate that the defendant's company received $6.2 million in taxpayer money, despite the project's approved budget being only $2.1 million, a discrepancy of nearly 195% over the authorized amount. The documents also show that the payments were dispersed over a period of 18 months, with irregular transactions occurring at intervals that suggest deliberate obfuscation of financial trails. However, as soon as Bondi attempts to highlight these discrepancies, Judge Gates intervenes. He dismisses key evidence, interrupting Bondi's presentation 7 times within a 30-minute span, a statistically abnormal rate compared to standard judicial conduct. His refusal to allow the submission of documents, coupled with his open disdain for financial analysis, raises immediate red flags. The courtroom audience, including journalists and members of the jury, begin to take notice of the judge's erratic behavior. His attempt to cut short the examination of forensic accounting reports, typically considered objective, numerical evidence, further cements suspicions that he is attempting to derail the case. Bondi remains undeterred. She continues methodically, using visual projections to ensure that the jury and audience can clearly see the numerical inconsistencies. When Gates interrupts yet again, attempting to label the case as a waste of court resources, the tension in the room escalates. Bondi responds by emphasizing that her role is to present indisputable evidence and ensure accountability, regardless of the court's political dynamics. 3. Revealing the smoking gun, the audio recording. The turning point occurs when Bondi presents a forensically authenticated audio recording obtained through a legally sanctioned wiretap. The recording, analyzed by forensic audio experts, has a 99.8% match to Judge Gates's voice print. In the recording, Gates can be heard explicitly instructing an unknown party to destroy or conceal financial ledgers related to the case, stating, "Take care of it. Make sure she never gets those records." The courtroom falls silent as the recording plays, its clarity amplified through professional-grade courtroom audio equipment. The jurors, legal teams, and audience react visibly, with some reporters scrambling to take notes. The weight of the revelation is undeniable. This is clear evidence of obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and judicial misconduct at the highest level. Statistically, fewer than 0.1% of judicial misconduct cases involve direct evidence as damning as a recorded confession. This recording leaves no room for ambiguity, immediately shifting the perception of the trial. The defense counsel, previously confident, is now visibly unsettled. Even Judge Gates, previously smug, is seen clenching his jaw and stiffening in his seat. His attempt to dismiss the recording as inadmissible is swiftly challenged by Bondi, who cites federal precedents on wiretap evidence admissibility under the Federal Rules of Evidence 901b5. The introduction of this recording forces the court to acknowledge the gravity of the situation. The balance of power has shifted irreversibly. Gates' expression tightens as he realizes his once unquestionable authority has just collapsed under the weight of irrefutable evidence.